Tanse, everybody. Welcome to our podcast, All Things Decolonial. I'm your co-host, Dakota Bear, and this is the other co-host.
I'm Casey Desjarlais. We're both Cree and Anishinaabe from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Treaty 6.
Treaty 6 in the house, Treaty 4 in the house, Nihia representing, Anishinaabe representing. We're out here on unceded Coast Salish territories, Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh, and we're so honored to be here and share some of our experiences, who we are as Decolonial Clothing.
Yeah, the founders and owners behind Decolonial, the brand, the mission, the vision, all of that good stuff. So
I think it's really exciting because a lot of people know decolonial clothing, but really giving an insight to who the people are. Casey and I, we're parents, we're entrepreneurs. We do a lot of different things, and I feel like the most important thing is, getting connected to the community members, being parents, creatives, entrepreneurs, and all sorts of things. And this is a space where you really get to know who we are behind the scenes, about the brand, what the mission is, what the vision is.
Yeah, like Decolonial is literally just an extension of who we are as individuals, as a couple, kind of our journey of decolonizing and reclaiming our indigeneity and who we are and how we can put that out into the world and what we can offer to the world. So it's exciting to kind of talk about it and relive some of the experiences that we've been through together as entrepreneurs, as parents, and as individuals on this journey.
Yeah, I think it's really important that we highlight that, we're both reconnecting to our Indigenous culture. We have different backgrounds, but similar. Because of colonialism, we've been impacted. Our family's been impacted through residential schools, displacement, being disconnected, the ceremonies, culture. But one thing we have that's very common and something that we really focus on is that reconnection to our culture, to our language, to who we are as Indigenous people as we became parents, decolonial parents.
Yeah, our story kind of starts out of us kind of being lost, whether that through the different experiences in life, from healing from intergenerational trauma. Both of our grandparents have been to residential school on both sides of our family, our moms and our dads, and learning how to, reclaim what has been lost, and doing it out of respect for the people who came before us, but also the people who come after us, which is our children and our children's children, and being able to give that back to the community and learning from our mistakes. And a lot of Indigenous people that we see out there, we're all healing from something. We're all intergenerational survivors.
Factuals.
So yeah, that's been quite a journey, navigating that and coming out of it. And I think all the different, themes and levels of our life has been new to us. So everything is new to us. We're learning as we go. We don't know, we don't have the blueprint, but this is just our journey.
Yeah, I think just being able to share our experience will bring a lot of value to others because, like Casey was saying, we don't know it all. We've just been learning as we've been going. There's not a real blueprint of how do you decolonize your life? How do you be a decolonial person and do decolonial acts? It's really just by doing them, and I think parenting has taught us a lot of that, a lot of unlearning, a lot of relearning, picking up things that were lost to pass on to our children so they can carry that on. And even starting a business, how do you do that? We're not business majors, we're not graphic designers, we're not website builders. These are all the things that we learned, that we had to learn. That's a part of revitalizing Indigenous economy, because when we take it back and how we really just started relearning all of this, it was Casey going into university. We're young parents, we're hustling with jobs, and she was going to school. We're in Vancouver all alone. It was just us, we're out here on the coast, not connected to the community. And I just remember Casey coming back, bringing all of these books about the Indian Act, the things that were really important to our history that I never got to learn, that we never got to learn, growing up. And I think that was really crucial. Us and being on our healing journey at the same time really had it was really a spark to something bigger, the beginning to this decolonial journey, I feel.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool because Dakota already had a sense of business, being a hip hop artist in Saskatoon, being one of the biggest hip hop artists in Saskatoon, and having to hustle his music all the time. So he had a sense of marketing and a little bit of business knowledge. And me, on the other hand, I was a scholar. I was a workhorse. I never not worked since I was 16. Graduated high school, went straight into university, and that was kind of my grounding. That was the way that I kind of took a step back from, there was so much pressure being like a young person, especially in the Plains Prairies where like it's like the underbelly of colonialism. There's so much struggle, there's so much poverty, there's so much racism, and having to navigate that without even knowing that you're navigating it at the same time. So it's really cool how Decolonial is literally a branch of us and how we brought both of our lives individually together to create this amazing business. And not just a business, it literally is a movement that has guided our whole lives up until this point. So really grateful for that, really grateful for the skills and the medicine that we both brought into this. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been a journey. It's been a journey of trying to figure out life in a capitalistic colonial world while actively fighting against it, And being a young person in Saskatoon, growing up in Saskatoon, living through poverty, living through addictions, and all of these things that were really designed for us to bring us down, to beat us down, and overcoming those challenges, those hardships, really as a young parent, it had to be done. It was something that we had to focus on. Like, how do we figure this out? Because we didn't want to be passing on those things that we felt, that we seen in our communities, in our homes, because of residential school, because of colonialism, become a cycle and just keep going and going and going. And one of the biggest things was, how do we escape poverty? Because this isn't back in the day where we had established trade networks, mediums of exchange. We had our own economy. This is, the 20th century. This is where colonialism has already impacted us 500 years. How do we do this? And it was something interesting that Casey brought back, an interesting read called Warrior Entrepreneurship, and how did our indigenous people communicate with each other, network with each other, create networks and trade networks with each other already to build strong economies? Because poverty isn't in our vocabulary. It's not in our words. It's not who we are. It's not something that we've understood until colonialism. So with decolonial, I feel like that was a big part of why we wanted to push it, why we want to create this community so we can uplift others, bring others up. And like she said, it's a movement. It's who we are, an extension of who we are. And as young people, really just connecting to our roots, getting sober, getting on our healing journeys, connecting to the community, and then wanting to do something. I think that's where it really all started, with the fusion of what they call activism, or for us, a responsibility to stand up, to fight for against injustices, against everything that we see wrong. That's how we see it. But how do we fuse that and use a platform and use social media to fuel that movement, to be the driver of that movement? I think that's really where we come in with Decolonial.
Yeah, like I'm reflecting back on how we started our entrepreneurship journey. And even me not even knowing the term entrepreneurship or not relating to it in a way, I didn't ever have to, acknowledge the term entrepreneurship because, like I said, I've always been working. But, before entrepreneurship was even a term in our lives, Indigenous people practiced this way of life just to the core of themselves, just their spirit, is going back to the things that give back to community, that don't uphold colonial values systems. And what we thought, having our daughter at such a young age, I was only 18 when I got pregnant, 19 when I gave birth. I reflected back on growing up as I'm raising this baby in my body, the things that I wanted to do differently as a parent, and seeing my parents struggle through poverty, through addiction, and that being the norm for my life and also for my partner's life. I really wanted to change the trajectory for my family, for my daughter. So that's when our first journey with creating a business together was 30604 Apparel. And he can touch a little bit about that. It was really a fun and exciting step to take. We really wanted to build something together. He had his music, I was going to school. But yeah, bridging those two worlds together was the birth of 30604 Apparel back in 2015.
Yeah, and that was just going for it. We didn't have a whole plan. That's where this started. Logos on napkins, last few $100s, really being broke, but hustling, becoming new parents, not having a proper Wi-Fi connection or proper computer at that, and really just taking a go at it because we had creativity, we had hustle, we had ambition, we had determination. Because Casey and I, like, we have similar stories, different but similar. Like, we really come from a place where we've seen a lot of those things affect our family through the residential schools that pass on all of that hurt, all of that trauma that created the pain, the addictions, the poverty that we struggle with and our people struggle with. We really come from the trenches. We really come from a place of pain, of hurt, of despair. But that's not our story. That's not all we are. That's not all who we are. Some of this may have changed our DNA down the road, but our DNA can always be repaired. And I feel like that's something that we really need to focus on moving forward, is that empowerment as Indigenous people, that empowerment of who we are, and not just staying down, but we created something out of nothing. We literally built
Without
something.
even knowing what we were doing at the time. Just like you said, just going for it.
Freestyling it.
And I feel like that's kind of the underlying theme in all the things that we do, is that like we don't have we don't even sometimes know what we're doing this week, and we just kind of, that's how we trust in Creator. And that's literally why we also made the design, left it in Creator's hands, because I really do trust myself more than I do capitalism, and I really do trust that our spirits are guided in such a deep way
100%.
that what we choose to do and how we choose to do it is because it's like a deep spiritual guidance. And that's kind of how that's what brought us to where we are here, with Decolonial Clothing is almost celebrating its 5th birthday, which is crazy. And all the different trials and tribulations that led up to this point has been such a learning experience. Like, I've learned so much just by doing these things that I don't know what I'm doing, and then learning from my experiences and trying to do it better next time. And it takes a lot of reflection, a lot of going inward, introspection, and also learning how to go live with the seasons. Like, winter is coming around the corner. It's a time for reflection, going inward, being quiet, journaling, and like this whole year learning from all the different experiences from this year and taking that into account going into the next year. And yeah, that's what I'm all about right now.
Yeah, I think that's important. We're just changing with the seasons. We're going in. It's a time of reflection. We had a very busy year, busy summer. Like I said, we do many things. Casey and I, we do a lot of community initiatives. We had a free music festival, free all ages, uplifting Indigenous youth, uplifting Indigenous talent, fed the community. Shout out to Sundance, the
Turtle
whole
Island
team.
Festival.
Turtle Island Festival, the Land Back movement, the Land Back team. Everything that we do is rooted in community, who we are, reciprocity. We follow those laws. We follow those ways of life the best that we can as reconnecting urban Indigenous natives, young people in this life, just trying to spread a positive message. And that's what we're doing with clothing, with music, the biggest platforms in the world, using that for good, using our voices, our messages, our talents, our gifts for good, to make an impact, to have to bring that inspiration, to bring that motivation to others, to show them that they can do it. This is all possible. This podcast created out of nothing, and it's just an idea, something that sparked us. We turned into action, and now here we are.
Totally. I feel like community initiatives, giving back to the community, reciprocity, community versus profit, community over profit. That's what we're all about. I'm still recovering from Turtle Island Festival. It really took a lot out of us, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
And just learning how to self-care, learning what self-care is and how to care for yourself, especially when we're in this constant state of giving back and like uplifting the community at every angle. And that's something I'm all about. And that's what really lifts my spirit and feeds me, is being able to help others. And that's what, that's a lot of our community initiatives. Like we said, Feed the People. We're planning right now this new project where I've learned this term as I'm like constantly researching on how to be a business owner, how to, how to run our business in a good way.
R&D.
Little R&D right there. We just opened our retail storefront 1 year ago. So
Shout
I'm
out
still
to Decolonial staff, holding it down as we speak.
As we speak. And yeah, that's been a journey. So yeah, constantly researching, and this term just like really stuck out to me, and it was called community retailing. And before I even knew the term and really dove into what that term was, we've already been doing that with like giving back to the community and how we do that in our different business ventures. And one of the things I really pride ourselves with at Decolonial Clothing flagship is that every single month we host a pop-up that features different BIPOC artists, you know, up and coming businesses, people with products and services that are local to the community, and we give them a platform. We open up our doors and open up, you know, our space so that they can showcase their business and their products. And just being able to be that for the community has been so exciting, because all the different businesses that come into our shop and they set up their stuff and they have the dopest products. It's cool to see the community support them, and then us being able to support that also. So yeah, that's been fun.
Yeah, it's really just indigenizing everything. Like we've been talking about, we already do this as Indigenous people naturally, you know, and finding these terms, community retailing, finding these things that really describe and resonate with the things that we do to help us really kind of guide our path forward, because we just jump into it. We launch initiatives, programs, mentorships, and things that we know how to do, things that really fill up our cups while giving back to the community. And once we're able to really find, you know, these terms, the way that we can explain what we're doing, it really validates what we're doing. Like it's okay, this is what we've been doing already. We've been already doing this, you know.
And it came at a time when, like, there's moments in our work day where it's just a struggle. Like it's a struggle to show up to work sometimes. It's a struggle to make a plan, to make the weekly plan. And
tired but inspired.
Tired but inspired. And that was me last week. I was having a hard week. I was having a hard day, but I just took a walk around the community and I just sat on the bench and like just kind of like silently, softly observed the community. And I just sat with myself for a minute. And then I pulled up my phone and started like researching different things to do to like inspire me. And then, yeah, the term came up and I truly did feel validated, the community retailing that we've been doing without even knowing we've been doing it. But just because it's like, we hold that as a value when it comes to Indigenous business, is like community is such a strong value. And I'll always uplift the community whenever I get the chance to, in everything I do.
Yes, it's really just tying everything in together, you know, who we are as Decolonial, what the message that we want to put out there. You know, we've been able to build something so amazing, seeing a lot of successes in what we're doing. We feel blessed because it's you purchasing, coming to events, being a part of this community that we're building together, the Decolonial community, and being able to grow it globally, worldwide, because Decolonial shipped globally, you know, all over the place. And I feel like we're one of the fastest growing, not only Indigenous brands, but clothing brands, you know, and to have a message of decolonial, of land back, I think that's so important to bring that to the masses. Our clothing is showing up in Netflix shows, actors like Mark Ruffalo supporting the cause, purchasing t-shirts and things like that. Natalie Bold showed it to everybody, hip hop musicians, Shad, everyone that's really amplifying the message and resonating with that land back. The times are different, times are changing. And like we said, we're building a platform, we're building a community, and not just to build one, not just to build a brand, but it's to be a part of something bigger.
Totally. And I think that's like so inspiring to know that the term like decolonization and decolonial is like universal. It spans across the whole world. And yeah, our clothing being shipped in almost every single country and state. Like
It's
that's crazy.
It's crazy to think about. You know, when we first started and we had in our 2-bedroom apartment, just like a smaller apartment, low-income housing, Casey and I, just the screen, blow drying to not even knowing if that's drying the garment, hanging it up in our shower, like just really starting from grassroots, really starting from really nothing and to what it's grown. You know, you have staff, we have the retail spot, ship worldwide, the creative space, the mentorships that we do for the youth, the community, everything that we've built is just to think back on it is really, it's empowering. And it just goes to show that, you know, you put your mind to it and you really follow that creator's path, what creator has in store for you. And you always believe in that, you know, follow your culture, your ceremony, continue to learn the language, pass that on. Anything is literally possible.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah. Start with prayer, start with medicines and smudging. And ceremony first always. So grateful for that.
It's been amazing first podcast. I'm really really honored to be able to share a bit about our story, who we are, how we started Decolonial Clothing. And to wrap it up, I just want to say we have this newsletter. Sign up to the newsletter. Follow us for the podcast. Follow us because we're going to be making more podcasts, more tips, more decolonial everything, decolonize everything. You can learn it all here. You can get more insights all here. My name's Dakota Bear. This is my co-host and my partner, my wife, my partner in business, my partner in life, Casey Desjarlais.
Thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Sign up for our newsletter. Follow us on social media. We'll be posting some clips. And yes, peace out.
And remember, decolonize everything. Dismantle colonial oppression every day.
Dismantle colonial systems.
All day, every day.
All day, every day.
And that's that. We'll see you next time.